Hi there. Today I'm going to be going over the Pebbles run for Hunter specifically. Now this run's very alike to two other runs that Hunter does, that being Hunter Pilgrimage and Hunter Story, or All Objectives as it's called. And I'll just be going over the route here today, not any other bits around the speedrun or otherwise. This will be at a intermediate level, whether you consider yourself at an intermediate level with the game or with speedruns in general. I'll be talking at that level. So I'm not going to be going over every single absolutely perfect strat, but I am going to be telling you a lot about the route and some things you want to be thinking about when doing the run itself. Now, let's just get into it so I can actually visually show you. Now, the first thing that we want to start off with is this is the one of pretty much the first category with Hunter that we actually get to quit out once Pebbles gives us the karma boost once we see him. However, and we don't actually need to bring the green neuron, but if we do bring the green neuron, he won't talk as much. So if you're comfortable with bringing this neuron with you all the way to Pebbles, then I recommend that you do. Additionally, one of the interesting things about this category compared to, say, Story or Pilgrimage, where Pilgrimage is essentially the faster version of this, as we're doing a modified version of Pilgrimage, but one of the echoes we get is Pebbles himself and his one karma upgrade that he gives. But the main thing is that we get to go down through the gutter, which is the part of the chimney canopy, and we'll connect to drainage, and we'll be entering drainage into Subterranean to finish the game. Now we've kind of gone forward a bit. I get to talk a little bit about what's going on. I'm going to assume people know what a fast roll button or how to do a fast roll is, but I'll explain it for a second here. If you look in the bottom left of the screen, you'll see my inputs at any given time. And the Y button, because I'm on keyboard, the Y button in this case is what we consider the fast roll button. And where in case pressing straight down is just a fully down input, when I press the Y button, or in this case it's my space bar, it's a slightly down input, and I can do a different roll that's only available normally to controllers when you do a slightly down angled diagonal. This allows us to do rolls in situations we don't normally be able to. This pole, if you're good at fast pole climbing, or you want to become good at fast pole climbing, Hunter is the one where it definitely can help, especially with right here. Now we're entering into Sky Islands here. I'm going to spit out the pebble in my mouth. Pearl in my mouth, not pebble. Thinking of pebbles too much. And we put the neuron on our stomach, and then we don't need to worry about it anymore for the rest of the run. Everything will just happen automatically. So if you're okay bringing it through that first part, that's great. We do need to eat at some point. If the centipede we passed just a second ago was a little bit too in the way, that would be a good thing to get. One thing to talk about fast roll is, if you notice just in the gate there, I was able to do a little roll after jumping down just a 1 block height. And pretty much the main thing about doing the fast roll is you can do it in those situations where you normally wouldn't be able to get a normal roll if you just held hard diagonal down. You can also roll over false floors with the fast roll. Messed that jump up, but that's fine. Additionally, I'm just kind of doing this run while talking. I'm by no means going to get a very good run. I'm going to be including the current world record run, who is by some dingus, that is their name. And then I'll include my personal best as well, because why not? Vultures are nothing. You stab them twice, they will run away. I want my spear back, though. I'm going to do a roll where I jump off right at the tip there, and then I can make it across. This jump, if you're scared of it, don't be, or at least throw an item while you cross it. This last part, just hold to the right and don't grab the last block there. I like to do a roll there personally instead of a pounce. This guy's here. That's perfect. And he's all alone. 2 stabs will kill them. However, sometimes they may take a little bit to bleed out. Creatures only die when they're going the negative health. We do 1.25 damage, I believe. I always kind of forget the exact amounts for Hunter. All of these lizards here have 2 health. So if we stab them twice, they will die. But they might have not instantly died, because they kind of, if they have negative health, it's kind of random. a tick. Just the less health they have, the more likely are to die per tick. Just they only start getting rolls per tick to die if their health is negative. Alright, we're kind of just going up here. I'm doing some specific jumps in places just to make it easier. Getting used to wall pounces there can be something for people. I know not everyone's totally comfortable with it. Now we're going to be saving here. This is not a glitches category, so we are going to be using karma caching here. If you don't like that too much, you can just do a starve here, and that works just as fine. I'm going to be using just the starve. I'm not actually doing the karma caching. Basically, the difference between karma caching and starving here is just me quitting out, so I don't have to walk to the echo while starving or while normal. Alright, so I'm going to be walking there while starving. The main thing is to just kind of limit our inputs so we do not pass out while starving. When starving, you basically have an invisible bar that will slowly fill. Once it's past a threshold, if you do a major action, that being a jump, you can pass out. I'm going to stand still for a second. The fastest way to make this bar go down is to be laying down. If you ever pass out, just lay down and don't move. Is the best option. I meant to do that a little bit earlier. That would have set up a better spot for that back throw. So I'm just trying to press jump least amount of times as possible. So as long as we're moving, the bar is going to stay up, or at least it's not going to go back down. And every time we're constantly moving or doing a jump or throw, it's going to spike up a bit. And if it spikes past a threshold, we have a chance to get stunned every time we do an action. That doesn't mean we will. That's our first echo there. We are going to be getting the Chimney echo next. Now, normally, you don't actually get the Chimney echo in runs like the story run, although you can if you want to. It's not really a problem. Just in that run, you go by the Chimney echo, and then you actually get the shaded echo as your fourth thing. These guys are annoying. Sometimes it can be good to throw poppers on... I'm throwing poppers on the right side of them in accordance to the screen. I dropped a spear, but that's unfortunate. So if they're on the left side of this, where the poppers originally popped, they will... Ooh, you didn't die. That was kind of what I was talking about earlier. But they'll go away from it, so they won't go forward into where you're going. So if you're thinking about poppers, it's all good. Tails don't exist, so we can actually just go through that guy. A little bit there. This jump is the bane of many people. I'm going to talk about this one a little bit because if anyone's ever done Survivor Run and they're like, oh, I can do Hunter, they go to Skylands and they get to this jump or the other equivalent jump on the other side and they just can't do it. So I'm just going to talk about a little bit. There's a few ways to do it. If you just do a pounce off all the way on the right and throw 2 items and then correct yourself by pressing up in the air and then holding right, you can make it if you really want to do that on this jump from the platform I'm on to the platform on the right. But the way I like to do it, and this might be good to practice a bit, is to do backflip into right there and then fall immediately into a void. We're going to do that again because we can. But I did it right. I just pressed the jump button a little late. The idea is you want to start the roll on the farthest left part of the little bump that's there. And so you'll do the backflip, then you can air control, and then all you need to do is be holding diagonally down to the right once you hit the ground. I know some people, once they do a backflip, they're not so used to air controlling where they exactly land, but that might be something just to practice a bit. I want this body for food, except I didn't jump. But that's fine. Get to talk about it a bit more. One other thing is just talking about rolls, in case we don't know about rolls and backflips. A backflip will only happen if you do a turn, and that being you have to walk a certain distance, and then you turn and press the other direction. And then there'll be sparks from your feet. You'll hear the sound cue If I only walk a little bit and then turn, it doesn't do it. And all you have to do is jump right when those sparks would appear, essentially. If I'm too late, it won't do it. If I'm not, it will do it. And then once you get used to it, you can kind of just go with it and front flip instead of going one way or the direction. Because we've taken too long, now this guy is here. One thing might be good to keep in mind, but normally in speedruns we don't want to be taking our time just waiting for a lizard to come up. But one of the big things for a lot of speedruns is the faster you go, the more consistent it gets. That being, previously when I went through here, all of the lizards were in very predictable spots, that being literally just outside of their spawn. I'm gonna try to eat that guy on the way out. Worked out well. We have one more for a starve as well. But the longer you take, they can move much farther from their predictable spots. Now we're gonna do this again. I like to throw an item just in case, although do not believe you need to do it if you don't need to. Now, going back to backflips and rolls, that being a roll can only go for so long. You can hear the audio cue of bump, 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 bump. And the farther into a roll you are, the higher the angle will be. And right at the end is the highest angle you can get. So you want to get pretty close to the end of how far a roll will last. So, and additionally, we can roll up one block inclines, like right there. Let me get it right in the middle here. So you can see me go up the one block incline. If you're at a certain part in the roll, it'll actually interrupt it. One other thing is, for this part, if you don't have a spear, you can go down and then go back up to be able to go up to where that centipede is right now. You can, if you have wall pounces on, you can actually do that. I'm not going to go fully into that because it's a very specialized thing. Just being aware that it exists can help. One thing about the flying centipedes here is the way they work is if you're in line of sight of them, they see you. I wanted to go back for the spear there. If you're in line of sight of them, they see you, but they will not aggro or even have the possibility of grabbing you until a certain amount of time has passed. So if they appear, they see you, and then they're hide behind a wall for 3 ages. Also, we can throw right here to always make it across. That one is definitely one to practice just to be comfortable with. But if they see you for a moment and then hide behind a cover for ages, they will then come out after a little while and try to kill you. It's just about when they initially see you. Their aggro timer is also individual for every creature. So if a centipede is out, it sees an orange lizard. This guy's a little annoying because I don't have a rock with me. But he did stupid things. So we're just going to go this way. This jump's a little annoying sometimes. I always like to do the backflip and the roll. A lot of flat area right here. I'm going to mess up a bunch of slides. You can save a spear for right here, or you can do any sort of roll for that section. And then we're into the gate. Now, I'm doing a lot of advanced movement. I'm not going to go over every little thing, but I'm going to talk about things that are specific to this run, especially those problems with Sky Islands. And now we're going to be moving the chimney. We are going to be saving right here so that we can go and get the chimney echo. Whenever you get a chance to eat, it's generally a good idea to eat. Just remember, if you have or haven't eaten, it's kind of weird with Hunter because you have so many options to eat, but sometimes the one you really wanted to go for at the end of a run, like sometimes you try to go for that purple lizard, he's just dead. He's just not there. One other thing to notice is that we've gotten one echo, and so we have the line in the circle. That is kind of funny that that appeared. When the echo's here, if a vulture decides to appear in this room, they'll just fall down asleep. You can use a grub. If you really want to, you can bring a grub up here. Kill a vulture that has fallen down that you've summoned, or just get lucky for one that has spawned. We got 2 spawning, actually, which is crazy. And then take his mask and then go back to the shelter before you save at the shelter we're just at. I don't like doing that because I don't care about having a mask. But if you don't like doing the wall, which we're about to do, without a mask, then I would suggest that you at least think about it. Now we're just gonna go up here as with before with the other echo. It is... We just need to see one line of dialogue, and then we need to move away from the screen that is looking on him. Additionally, that jump we just did across there with the backflip, if you have a rock, you can just jump across from below, or a spear or whatever. If you throw something and jump across, you can just make it across without having to go up top and then do a backflip like I did. Probably a few other ways as well, but that's just what I do. Trying to keep various amount of items on you and seeing what items are in front of you is definitely a big deal. I don't go back for items if I can help it, but I will get certain items at certain times or try to keep ones if I know it might be very useful. Alright, King Vulture. Vultures, again, just pretend that they don't exist. Also, another thing about fast roll is you can actually pick up items during it, where if you did a normal fully pressing down roll, ooh, that scared me a little bit because of the transition. You can just throw an item there if you're down below and make it across. If you throw 2 items while doing this roll, you won't have to grab that pole there and you'll land flat. I like to keep a spear going into the wall, because we're going to have to be using 2 spears for the Orb Skip, as we call it. That being, we don't have to go to the giant orb, the communications tower thing, where all the orange lizards normally are in Survivor. If we have 2 spears, we can climb up just the right side. Regardless, we always need 1 spear, unless you know how to vault, or CTV, I believe it is the actual name, Vault Turn Vault. And that is not something I would expect people to learn. But if people are comfortable with it, that would be something to look for. If I can find the link for that on the movement guide stuff, I might also add that to the down below in the description. Alright, now that we are in the wall, we know exactly what we're going to be going up against. We have 1 blue lizard, we've got 1 dropwig, we've got 5 cyans, I believe, and then there's 4 white lizards. And so, when possible, we're going to be counting to see where they are. This is normally where the dropwig is. Not seeing him here is whatever. He could be harassing some other guys. Or on this next screen. Which he is not. Unless he's in the top right there. Cyan very commonly enters this room right as we get here. I am in a good spot to do this, though. I'm going to drop that so I can easily grab him. Looks like that didn't happen. I don't have a rock anymore, but that's fine. I'm just gonna go, because it's wasting my time. I believe there is a 3rd one. So one thing to think about when playing the game, and I'm actually gonna pause. Actually, I might not pause, but when you're playing the game and you're down in options... Okay, I'm gonna pause. I'm sorry, I'm just thinking about a lot of things. When you're down in options and you see the quality, you can choose low, medium, and high, I believe are the options. For the most part, that will affect how many rooms around you are loaded. And so, imagining creatures moving through rooms, if the room is unloaded, they go really fast. But if the room is loaded, kind of slows down, and they'll come through and into your room or that room that's loaded at a specific timing. Creatures cannot go from an unloaded room into a loaded room. If they are trying to do that, they don't actually come through until the room they're coming from is loaded. So that cyan lizard is actually pretty consistent, because that's pretty much right when that room loads as we're going up here. This used to be a bigger deal in previous patches, but this still happens a lot here. And then one of the other things is just, you'll have all the cyans up 2 rooms above us, just moving around really, really fast in their abstracted state. And that means if we're in here for a while, there's just a higher chance that they'll actually move down into where we are down here. So sometimes that's good to think about. That's kind of why things are happening now. Blue lizard here, was not affected by the nice cyan mans. I'm going to a spot where I can easily fight them. I did eat. The drop wig is there too, which is expected. The vulture means nothing. And then you have the choice of either going the inside or the outside. If I hear and see nothing, I'm going to go the outside. And then take this, because it leads up directly where we want to be. And then I want to make sure I have 2 spears on me, if I can, right now. There's a good spear right here that I'm going to get as well. Never mind, I'm going to hurt that guy, because I don't want him to see me and follow me. When they're injured, they're generally not going to go larger distances to go towards you. I messed up the jump there. We're going to explain that jump in a little bit, because this is the Orb Skip. It's a fairly decent skip that you should at least be aware of and try. However, the cyan lizard would be annoying. So you want the spear here. You want to climb up on the left side here and then jump up. So now this jump is the important part. What I like to do is I press fully right, I press into the wall, I tap left and jump, and then I'm holding right, and then I press jump 2 more times. You have to, so if you just hold, so you're standing on a small 1 wide bump, and there's a small 1 wide bump above you. If you just hold into the wall and try to go into that bump, you will not auto climb up into it. You need to like force your climb to go up into it. So if you tap left and then you're holding right the rest of the time, you will touch the 1 wide bump as if it is a normal wall, and then you press jump during that time, and then it'll auto climb up on top of it. If you just hold left and then right, it will never climb up. You have to press jump to do this manual climb up onto it, if that makes sense. This is the other spot where we want our spear. Whereas other characters, it's a bit more annoying because we don't have a second spear on our back to deal with it. Should have had that 3rd spear. We dealt with that cyan lizard so we'd go away. We've now passed the cyan lizard domain, and we are now in white lizard domain. There can be one right here that it's really hard to see. There's one on the drop down there. That's unfortunate. I'm going to get this rock back. If we see one in that little section there, we are going to try to knock him down. There's 2 of them here. The block is pretty much a safe space, although some behavior has changed. They like to rush you a lot faster than they used to. I'm going to take that spear back. Use the pit as you can. So I used to say, one thing I'll say before, if people know me say things, I used to say if there's white lizards around you, standing on the block is a safe space, because if they try to lick you, you can just jump off left or right side and break the tongue, and then they'll run at you by going the lower U kind of section, like he kind of did. However, because of some behavioral changes, the white lizards seem to run at you much faster and also be staring at you all the time. It's very easy to break their line of sight as they're going down on the U part right here. And that means you can literally jump at them, like land on top of them or slightly past them and then climb up and by. But in a lot of cases, it seems like they're moving much faster than they used to. I don't really know how to explain it. Maybe I'm just a placebo moment there. But if you really want to rush it, and you've got a white lizard where I just had one, then that is a thing that I used to do all the time. Right here is a horrible place for a white lizard. This is the last white lizard because we already saw 3. I'm just going to drop him, and I know I can do this fast enough. That jump into the ladder section I was just at, I'm going to go back down even though it's a bad idea. Right where the white lizard is, jumping up from that pole into the ladder section is hard. It's a little weird to think about. Do not think about trying to grab the ladder rungs at all. Just, if you wall jump off the left or you wall jump off the right, and you kind of like don't really do the wall jump that well, and you kind of barely go to the other side, just keep pretending like you're wall jumping as normal, and just keep trying to wall jump constantly. If you're comfortable with a wall jump, just keep trying to do it, and then that is what's worked for me. We've crossed a pole plant. The white lizard should become scared. I'm gonna go this way because I want to stay on the other side of the pole plant and them. As long as we don't grab the pole plant, it's fine. The tips are the pole plant, are the part that actually grab you and are actually interactable. You do not want to jump through a tip of a pole plant ever. So now we've 100% passed every creature. And we are now going to save at what should be the last time we should save in the run, which is right here. However, we might save another time down in drainage depending on the cycle that we get. So right now, all that we're basically going to be doing is getting the wall echo. Then we're going to meet Pebbles. We're going to quit out when Pebbles gives us the karma. That's when he picks us up around, we're stunned, and then pings us, which is also when he gives us the 5 bonus cycles. We're going to quit out right when that happens. We don't keep the 5 bonus cycles. We don't get the credit for delivering the neuron. But we do... Give me a second. We do keep that extra bonus karma. So now this room is weird and affects white lizard behavior very strangely. They spawn in this room, but they have like a... I'm not exactly sure what it's called. There's a factor to this room that makes them not like being in it, and it makes them scared. So if they're closer to the exit down at the bottom, they're less likely to actually try to attack you. And they also won't follow you up into the room much, although I've still seen them do that quite a lot. They kind of literally do whatever they want. They 100% don't want to be in this room, but it's like 60% down in that room we were just in. All right, funny roll, other skip. I super messed that up, even though I'm normally pretty okay with it. But that's fine. That's something that happens when you haven't practiced it a little bit. Knowing where spears can spawn and actually pointing them out is something that can be useful. You definitely want at least 1 spear here. You can do this jump with either 1 or 2 spears. I'm kind of annoyed I messed that up because I haven't done that in quite a while, even though I did this a few times earlier. The idea is if you don't want to do the 1 spear trick, you do a backflip here, you spear down, you're on top of the spear, and you jump to the right and you spear on the right. But here we want to do a backflip. You start rolling just before this bump here. And you want to jump out right at where the roll would end, so you have the highest angle possible. I had a slightly lower angle because I jumped a little bit early. So I did not make it fully across and high enough as I can. Even if you just get the spear in there and you don't actually grab the spear, that's alright, because now you at least have it there and you can actually do it. Having the spear actually get stuck in the wall where I had it is probably the worst situation, but especially when you're still learning, that'll be something you have to figure out. Just get used to starting the roll where I did, or even slightly more to the left than I did. Like going up onto the platform and then jumping right when the roll would normally run out. We're just doing a bunch of E-slides across a lot of slopes. It's exactly like how it is in a gate, where as long as we're standing to the right side and then slide and throw backwards, we'll stick to the floor the whole way. Now we're entering Pebbles. There's not too much to say. I'm going to talk about some things with the 0G that we can do. Drink water for a second. Right. Comparative to other runs where we might want to save on the way back. Say if you haven't eaten here and you do need to eat here, you could pop the popcorn now, then meet Pebbles, and then come back and eat the popcorn and save. So now going past the karma symbols, the way I like to do it is roll and jump. Here is only roll and stand out of it, and here is don't roll at all. That's just because of how dealing with the changes in gravity. So now here I like to jump towards the left roll, I bounce off. I don't like to throw things if I can. So now here's an important part right here. If you're going by, see if I can blow up the mouse. If you're just floating right here, if you're going by either of the pipes, if you're pressing any direction, like even towards it, right when you're, especially next to the broken one more so than the actual one, the pipe will actually reject you and push you back out away. So sometimes if you're floating past and you already have trajectory going the direction you want to go, don't press any input. So now we're right where we want to go. We can grab the inside of the pipe, and then we can just hold down. So I jump, like to go off the wall, and then back across, and then we're just going to be throwing things. I had a slightly bad angle, but that's fine. What I like to do is try to not grab the poles on the walls. So I'm just looking at how Slugcat's body is, and I try to put the tail side towards the wall so I can get that jump without grabbing the pole. So say if we're going fully straight across it like I intended to, and we're throwing items the whole time, sometimes with how we're spinning and we've thrown items, it can spin us into the wall, which is something you need to think about. Or if you're moving too fast, you can hit this pole and be trying to grab it, but you continue and you just continue going off to the right. So sometimes trying to not grab the pole or trying to slow down by throwing rocks behind us, so you can grab this pole without having too much speed to blow past it, could be a good idea. So going super fast and hitting the wall in the back and then bouncing back sometimes be a good idea. Now we're in Pebbles. Probably should have said this here, but that's fine. So as I have been told, I haven't actually tested it really myself, but he will talk less if we do have the neuron, which is why we did the whole neuron thing. Isn't too much of a problem. Just to basically have a hand cut off for that first section. And now we're just waiting. So now this is where it's going to change from the story run or otherwise. Especially with the story run, we have to be there for Pebbles the whole time, and then we'll go back out and we'll save because we need the flag of we gave Pebbles the neuron to stay. But for this run, we only want his karma, so we're just going to leave the moment he gives us the karma. We also don't need the neuron anymore, but because we're quitting out, the neuron's going to stay in our stomach. We're not really going to worry about that. And then we're going to be going down Chimney and then doing what is essentially backwards rivulet right up until we get into the drainage system, which right when we enter drainage system, there's going to be an annoying jump that we just need to be aware of. Here's also a good place if you do know CTVs or vaults, carpal turn vaults, then this would be a good point to try to practice different things. There's a few glitches with actually taking the neuron from Pebbles before he... Well, taking the neuron from him and putting it in your stomach can have some weird effects. But we won't talk about that here. Right when we hear the ping, the moment you hear the sound effect, you can quit out. And now we are going back down the wall. So we're going to be going down the wall in the chimney and then down chimney proper. But on the 3-pipe room, right off the first branch off, we're going to be going right instead of continuing to go down. This white lizard can get in the way. I'm going to eat this guy because I can. Falling down the wall, I like to do bunches of rolls at places, grab pipes 2 times, and then if you attempt to do a roll and you're like holding diagonally down and spamming jump on a lot of these falls, you can do the jump out of the roll before you actually touch the ground. Like the game thinks you're on the ground, but the body function hasn't updated, and so you can do the roll to negate getting stunned like that. Like there I was trying to get a roll, there I was trying to get a roll, and I would have gotten stunned in some of those places like we did if I didn't get the roll. So I just mistimed the jump, although really I'm just spamming and hoping it works. That's something to think about. If you're moving too fast though, you will just die. There is a threshold, but it will prevent the stun for quite a large range of speeds and distances. Okay, messing up movement. That's fine. Chimney. So here's something that's something Gus has been talking to me about, and that being taking the lower path right here. I'm getting more used to that, so I'm going to be doing that. I like to go to the upper path a lot because it seems just more okay when jumping across, but really it's easier jumping right to left if we're on the bottom than it is left to right. So it shouldn't be too much of a problem. I just want to make sure I have 2 items with me, or at least 1. right when I go across. Not a lot of items spawning down here today. Alright. Just something about that makes me unhappy, but getting used to it is good. Throw 2 items there so you can smoothly go across. This jump will always be annoying. Don't know why the blue lizard's down there. So right here, here's a spot that you can do if you do a fast roll. So if I pop out of this and I attempt to do a fast roll on that false floor below the white lizard, and you roll for a little bit and jump, you can make it across. I'm not going to do that now because I don't want to fail it 3 times during a guide. But that is something to consider if you really want to squeeze a little bit more time. We're just going to drop down and grab. So right here's another spot where loading in creatures can be a big thing. That cyan lizard's pretty consistent. If you go a little bit too slow, they'll pretty much always be popping out right when you get there. Those are just, I'm just pointing out the places that I notice. There's definitely other places where it can be noticeable. But those are just places I know. I like to go up to the second rung and then jump and throw. I actually don't know if I even need to throw there. Definitely makes me feel better about it. Otherwise, you can do a pounce across and 2 throws, and you'll make it. Don't know why Noodle's really looking at me. You can fall down here for this spot that I honestly completely forgot about. When actually thinking about this route. I think you want to drop down a screen and take the shortcut that we see now that's on the left. Here is where we can drop down. I'm going to worry about the white lizard though. The cycle timer doesn't look good, so we are going to be wanting to rest right before drainage. You can definitely do these falls a lot faster than I'm doing them. I just don't want to die here. I don't know where that second spider went. I like to go against this wall and hold left. Now we're in the mud water. This eel lizard, I don't know if they're a constant spawn or not, but there's definitely been a lot of cases where they're just not there. But when they are there, it's quite annoying. I'm still going to try to get by it as fast as possible, but what are you going to do? I'm going to not kill this guy, actually, because he stole my spear immediately. That's unfortunate. We'll do this again. Not too much of a problem. Ooh. None of the other white lizards came back. I believe we killed them all because they all fell off. So now Hunter, if you kill any creatures, they have a 50% to respawn. And if they have a lineage, when they do respawn, they roll if they'll lineage to whatever the next creature is in line. This guy's a little annoying. You shouldn't try this. Going to anyway. If he dropped immediately, he would definitely would have hit me. On the drop down, I believe it's 80% to kill you, not counting fluctuations by dynamic difficulty. Dynamic difficulty goes up the more regions you've gone through if you have the new dynamic difficulty active. Otherwise, the old dynamic difficulty was if you've survived or died a bunch. So if you survived, it would go. If you died, it would go down. Which means you could max it out pretty quickly. But that would affect stuff like if creatures would instantly kill you or not. It would give you a higher chance for you to die. Or less chance. Also believe creature attention as well. Alright, we're going to do this again and not die horribly. I'll actually point out the deviation from Hunter's story. Also, one other thing I wasn't really doing, depending on your situation, maybe you want to keep a spear or a rock If I'm just trying to go for speed, and I know there's a bunch of... That's unfortunate. I know there's a bunch of other throwables in the way. Pretty good. Then I am going to throw spears as a priority, because if I run into another spear in front of me, I can't pick up that spear because I already have a spear in my hand. But if I have a rock in my hand, I can pick up another rock or a spear, whatever's in the way. But sometimes you just need that spear for something that can be in the way, or you need it for some other reason. So that's just a thought. So now we would have a vulture mask if I did decide to use a grub all the way back from farm arrays and bring it in the chimney. But we do not, so we're going to deal with lizards as they happen. I did not eat comparative to last time, so that's something I need to consider at this point. Right. Fall down here again. And now we're going to be seeing if we get this eel lizard again. Also been seeing the white lizards in places we don't like to see them, because we're pretty far into a region and the cycle's been going for a bit. Creatures have moved around, or at least can move around quite a lot. So you just need to be aware of that. Spider. Please stop touching me. Thank you. So the spiders will kind of have a soft grab, where they kind of just hold on to you. It's not an actual grab, like being bitten by a lizard where you're stunned and stuff. If they do their little hiss thing, they're not. They're not very good at it. And you can assume they're going to miss unless you're in a one wide pipe. The eel lizard's on the right this time. Good for them. Now I'm going to try to use a spear here, as there's going to be a lot of spears ahead of us. Try to spear there. If I can, I want to go over this, depending on the situation, but otherwise we go under. And then you get a spear here. Sometimes you want to go into this water without a item in your hand, because there could be a snail in this pipe blocking your path, and you want to grab them, because if you get stunned, there's a good chance you can die. Additionally, talking about swimming, especially in that section, let me check something real quick. I am going to save just to make sure we keep going in this run. These centipedes are good if you really need a little bit more food. Me kind of standing here a long time isn't what you really want in a speedrun, but you kind of take what you can get. A lot of them kind of just sat there for us, which is very nice. If I had that really bad cycle like we had before, we definitely would have stayed here. I would go forward normally in a run, but I just want to make sure we're moving forward with the guide. So I'm going to save here. But again, with swimming, which we're going to deal with a lot here in drainage, we want to not press jump. Because every time you press jump, it gives a boost, but it uses more air than you would have gotten in distance not pressing the boost. If you feel like you need to do something, do a snaking motion. You kind of like... So if you're going straight down, you want to be tapping left and right while you're holding down. Kind of idea. So now that swimming has changed, you no longer slowly float upwards. So it doesn't matter as much. You used to grind your face off the ceiling. Alright, one thing I want to talk about right here. This room is horrible. There can be a drop wig in this room. It can be in the whole ceiling that's above me right now. The only way we can get where we want to go is if we are laid down right here and we get on this pole right there. If we don't get on that pole, we cannot make it at all. All of that broken pipes right there you can't make normally, as I'm aware. You could probably do an EI hop, which is kind of like an extended slide but a little bit different. You jump out of it right at the beginning. But I don't like doing the crazy risky thing. I'm going to do this part right here because I think it's cool. I'm going to do it again because I really want to show it. But basically the idea is, one, I really like this song, but two, right when you fall here, I'm not going to do it anymore, but I'm going to do it again actually. You can do that right there. I like it a lot. I've been liking doing that every time I come down here. Messed it up twice, unfortunately. Just going through these rooms, nothing too crazy going on. Just watching for snails, as long as we don't go too close to them or if they fall. So now starting the dangerous swim sections. So going into this next room. Also, if you see leeches, no you don't, just move fast enough, they're not real. If we enter this next room, and if I do not have 3 full dots of air, I am not going to the left. I'm going to the right. If you have any less than 3 full dots of air, do not go to the left. I have the air visualizer, so I know how much breath I has without having to look at my character. The moment we go into an air pocket and we are not drowning, basically just consider yourself to be at full air pretty quickly. But if you are drowning, it is going to change quite a lot. I have one on me, so I'm going to wait up here. So if leeches see you, even if you're not on or in water, they will kind of fester around and be prepared to actually join you. I should probably just continue going to the right, but I'm just going to get that guy off just to make sure. Ooh, I've messed up pretty hard. I think if I got one more, I would die. Now I'm messing up my own thing. If you feel like you need help, throw a snail. It hits the ground. It stuns all of the leeches in the area. The other thing is why I should say you shouldn't be afraid of leeches is if you get right into this room, they're really not going to follow you between rooms. These ones kind of came here, and there's an air pocket right there, but you're not going to see a lot going through. Alright, the next swim is the hardest one, other than the one where I just told you you want to go right if you don't have 3 full dots. This is the hardest part. Always a little scary. Do not press jump. You want to make it past that, and then you want to go... You can make it into the normal pipe going between rooms, but it can be scary. This is also annoying because the water keeps rising. Sometimes the air visual thing can go away, but you're not actually at full air yet. So like it only shows up once the first bubble is actually gone for the amount of air that you have. And when it refills, it also will do that. We can climb this pole that was added with the DLC. And we can go up through here. Otherwise, we would need a spear if we do not have the DLC on, in case we're doing this category for some reason. Although we wouldn't be going this way, because that direction wouldn't work at all. So, pretend I didn't say that. Messing up movement. That's fine. One thing I like to think about for this jump is you can actually do it on the close wall if you're good enough, and you do one less wall jump. But of course, that's not the easiest thing. But I like to show it off, just to get people thinking. I'm still going to slap the wall a little bit. I slapped it a bit more than I wanted to. I was hoping I would be facing straight down instead of standing up as I was. And then last little bit there. Alright, now we're moving into Subterranean. I'm just going to be going to the big X room, and then I'm going to be stopping the guide there, because depths is kind of its own thing. A lot of runs have it. We don't need to talk about it or have it in this run specifically. That should be its own video. But we'll get there for now. With it being downpour depths, we are going to have slightly more lighting with little green glowy things. I like to go down this pipe. If you time it right, you can go through the pipe I just got stunned on and make it down. A lot of people have been taking this shortcut pipe. You can, if you want to, or if you don't want to, you can just keep going down on the other side. It is definitely more likely that you'll get a mole lizard or some other creature showing up and blocking your path if you do go that way. Boosting out of this pipe, touching... Wait, let's kind of show it on map here. There's 2 big squares there. If you're starting to fall, just hold left or right and try to wall jump back and forth. and get back up on top of them. Once you start getting used to the area down here, get used to how things go and where they are, especially right there. Trying to lay down and only kind of jumping when laying down is a big thing that we want to do. It seems like a mother spider died. I'm going to fall into this man. I just threw things in case that was a mother spider because I saw a weird particle effect. Not making sound so creatures don't know where you are is definitely can help a lot. However, this spider is really annoying. Ooh. Okay. Well, that's unfortunate. So I haven't had these spiders actually be in the way so much. So this spider was right where we needed to go, in the only spot where we could actually go at all. And decided to make a bunch of sounds. So literally everything went right there. I should have went when the one grabbed him. I didn't see one drop, but there was definitely two there when I decided to drop. So it didn't actually work. If you can slug against the left or right wall, it can definitely help with waiting out the mole lizards to actually drop down. However, the one that was on the pole did actually hear me when I dropped down earlier because I hit hard instead of on all fours like I intended to be. And did hear me. Main thing about making sound is if you're standing up on 2 feet, you're making sound. If you jump while standing on 2 feet, you don't make sound, but if you hit the ground while you're in that upright state, you will make sound. If you hit the ground while on the all fours kind of flopping around state, you won't make sound, depending on the situation. Sometimes things you're holding will also make sound as you go through pipes or certain parts. Just listening to how they're moving can matter a lot, and depending on what shortcut pipe you can take, or secondary direction. Otherwise, it's just hoping things aren't in the way. Haven't had those spiders really be in the way. They've changed a lot with how creatures move and different shortcut pipes that they can take in a room. So you'll start to see creatures in different places in this recent patch, that being it's 1.9.15b, I believe, is the most recent patch, which has some creature behavior change, which might include those spiders being there, because I haven't seen them there. I think this will be it for the guide here. It's unfortunate I didn't exactly finish a run, but that's the last room in the game that actually matters. We got to see that room actually going wrong firsthand. It's pretty much right there that can go wrong, right at that drop down, because once you drop down, you're really not coming back up. The good thing, I mean, the kind of bad thing is that the lizards can't get back up either. So if they know you're there and you go back up, they're all just going to sit down there and stare at where they think you are and wait for you to drop. And so you just can't actually go down there because of that one wide funnel. So either you decide to go the right side and a little bit farther away around. If you do get past that choke point that we died on, there's that little access ladder part. That part can also be a little scary because you have a lot of lizards climbing up that section. You definitely want to be listening to what's going on, trying to make not sound, and maybe you do want to make sound so you hear or basically stun them, because if they hear something, they'll always stop moving. And so if they're right in a spot where you think you can get by them, you make one bit of sound and then you jump right by them, and then that can work out quite well. Depending on what you're doing, it'll work out really well. If there's lizards down at the bottom of that little shaft part, then you just try to roll and go immediately to the right. If you have items in your hand, just kind of be okay with it. In a lot of cases, you want to purposely take the bite instead of throwing all of your stuff away, just because if you're panicking and you throw everything and everything misses, then it bites you, then you can't throw something in case you didn't die. Kind of depends if you want to roll that 33% chance of instantly dying or not when you're bitten by a lizard. It's kind of unfortunate that I did die off of that chance then, but it was also mostly the fact of there's 5 lizards there and the spiders alerting everything. Yeah, that's it for the video for now. Thank you all for watching. I'll try to be getting other little videos like this one, going over other categories. All right. Goodbye.